If she had only been ugly, we would still...
Erin Foley's here,
Hello.
and I have to apologize to her because before Greg was here, we had these other fucking mooks that didn't record. We had technical problems. So she's nice enough to come back. Although this podcast will never compare to the one we did because it was magic.
It was magic. I left crying just out of joy.
Well,
Are we looking this way?
whatever way you want to look, we're covered, babe.
Okay.
May I call you babe since it's
Yeah, call
Hollywood?
me babe.
We are covered, and it's so good to see you. I've seen you at many festivals lately with Austin, Montreal. I didn't see you in Ireland. I don't know what your attitude is about the Irish.
I mean, how have I not been there yet? Ever in my life? Comedy or just screaming for my people?
Where was your people from?
Well, like Cork County, like every other person.
Like Cork or Donegal?
Cork. Here's why I paused. I met this really awesome comedian and now a comic in New York, and I can't remember his name now. He's fantastic, but he's from Ireland, and he was making fun of me because he's like, every American is like, I'm from Cork County. He's like, you got to really do some more research. So now I get really self-conscious, being like, that's really all I know. So I need to do maybe some more family history.
Well,
He
a
was
lot of
just
people from
teasing me the whole
Donegal
time.
came over here. That's
Yeah.
why I asked. Because of the potato famine.
Right, which is the worst thing on the planet. When you do a little potato famine reading,
You run out of potatoes.
but no one helped. England knew the whole time it was going on. No help. No
Well,
help
I
for the
think
Irish.
there's- yeah.
Everyone's starved.
I know. Amazing, huh?
That's why we're
Is this a good way to start a
drinkers.
comedy podcast?
Listen, if you
It's not a comedy
if you can
podcast.
rebound
It's a
from
journalist.
a comedy,
I think we can.
if you can start with the Irish potato famine and then end well.
I tell you, I didn't think I was going to laugh. I was crying for 20 minutes. Nobody helped, even the British, who were so helpful in history.
They're so helpful.
Nobody helped more than the British in China, in India. How the fuck did they take over those countries?
I don't know.
The thing about the British to me is it's funny because they're, of course I like a lot of British people. I don't want to get into that
Yeah.
sappy shit, but they butchered so many people. But the Nazis, poor Nazis, got a bum rap. Like they were the only evil ones,
Well, they took evil to a whole nother level.
Yeah, they were good. They were good.
They were very good at evil.
They were good.
They got the gold medal of evil. England, probably the silver medal.
Well, England did it with such grace and aplomb, It was like, Jeffrey, would you care for some more sherry before we go raping and pillaging? Cheers. The Nazis were like, I don't find, fuck you, York children.
As long as you toast before you rape and pillage, it's fine. It takes
Cheers.
the edge off. It takes the edge off.
They're
rape
not
and
really
pillaging.
human. Yeah, it takes the edge off. I want to talk to you about a couple of things, and one of them was the incident that happened with you, which I thought you fucking handled brilliantly in Montreal.
Oh, that was crazy.
When they gave, can you explain that to the audience to show them how
Yes.
you work on something and how they can fuck it up for you?
Yeah, we were both in Montreal doing the festival. Then I was on the Russell Peters Gala, which is intimidating anyway, because, you feel like you reach a level where you're like headlining clubs and you're like, okay, you get more confidence and stuff. But then you go to Montreal and it's a gala, 3,000 people.
Yeah.
I'm the only woman on the show, which fine. I mean, I'm used to that, but it's still intimidating with all these dudes and Russell Peters, who could have been nicer. So, and you only have 7 minutes, which is like, you're like, what's 7? You know what I mean? It's like, what combination
It used to
of
be a
what
lot
and-
when you had 2 minutes.
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
had to, when
Yeah.
you had 2 jokes.
Yeah.
But now 7 is a warm up.
You feel like you're just getting started and kind of like establishing yourself, and then you have to leave. But whatever. So that's kind of intimidating, and you're like, oh, what should I choose? So I didn't even think to check the introduction because I thought it was just going to be like, Erin Foley, come on out. You know what I mean? Like, or a credit or
Yeah,
whatever.
of course.
It's the most
Well, why would you
professional
check it?
setting.
Only
Yeah.
neurotic comedians would check. What's my intro?
Yeah, I don't care.
Make sure you mention I was
Yeah.
on 4 Conans.
Yeah.
Like that, the audience cares.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So of course I didn't check it. So I'm going out onto the theater in front of 3,000 people. And I guess they combined, I have a sports podcast called Sports Without Balls where I talk to
Right.
other women about sports. And they said, please welcome I think it was something like a self-described a lesbian sports fan, which is weird because she doesn't have balls. Something Erin Foley.
my
And I was
God.
like, as I was turning the corner, I was like, I'm sorry, what was that? Like,
They put the very beginning of your act into your
yeah.
intro.
Meanwhile, I wasn't even talking about being gay. Sometimes I talk about being gay, sometimes I don't.
Which is the way it should be.
You know what I mean? Like, who cares?
Yeah.
And I was like, I changed the set the next night, but I was like, I just so happened to have like a gay marriage joke in there. And so I had to address it as soon as I came out because I was like, that was the weirdest intro of all time.
Kind of that's cool pressure though, in a way. If you can get through something like that, you know, you really grow in handling.
Yeah.
Because I started a Comedy Central special once. I started it, and, you know, I was nervous, and I started it, and then they stopped it. Whoa, stop. I go, what? They go, your hat. You can't wear that hat.
No.
It's got a symbol on it. And so I said to the audience, don't you hate when you do a Comedy Central special, they stop you because of your hat? Or is it just me? You know? But
oh my God, that's horrible.
But it's like the same thing you went through in the
Yeah.
sense that you had to adapt and adjust. And
Yeah.
I couldn't put what I said in the regular thing because it wouldn't have made sense.
Yeah.
So when I was trying to keep the audience, I was warming up my own audience that I already had started the show.
Yeah.
So like the warm up came after
Yeah.
I began the thing. But I thought you handled it really well. That was a tough one.
It was just, you know, it's one of these things where you're like, how did this get cleared? You know, like who was writing that and thought that was appropriate?
A baboon.
And, you know, you don't want to like be like, I'm so angry, but I was shaking when I got off stage.
I know, I was there.
It ruined the experience. I just was just like, in what world, what dude thought like that was appropriate? You know, it's just.
It wasn't Russell, I'll tell you that.
No, it wasn't Russell.
He's too lazy to have done it.
Yeah, and they
He's
were
too
super
good-hearted and too
apologetic,
lazy.
and you know, it's one of those things where you just got to get over it fairly quickly. And I think I couldn't get, you know, we all had beers after, some wine after, and you know, the greatest thing about Montreal, that was a moment that I'm just like, you just have to, you know, get over it. But with seeing all of you guys and doing shows, and then just go back to the bar and just being surrounded by like such fantastic comics, it's such a treat because you're always like
comedy
on the road
camp
by
for
yourself.
headliners.
Yeah.
Comedy camp for headliners, and everybody's, you know, relatively equal.
Yeah.
Unless they're a draw like Russell is, you know, everybody's kind of, it's like, once you get the festival, I mean, nothing's like the Irish festival because you're totally equal.
Yeah.
Everybody switches spots, MCs, whatever thing. But I just think it's a very cool atmosphere to be, and it must look. I've been there more than any other white guy.
I was like, yeah, it didn't feel totally equal to me. Like when I see you and Judy Gold sitting next to me, I just think like I'm a kid in a candy store.
That fucking whore, you hear me, Judy? You big bitch.
We love you, Judy.
Oh, we had so much fun.
Yeah, you know, so for me, like it's I do feel like, oh, well, I have a place in the comedy community, but it's still so like exciting to see, you know, people you generally just like genuinely love seeing stand-up. Like to see like Judy Gold, to be in the same dressing room. She had the one, you know, the show before and I had the show after, and then we're just sitting there having a drink. Like I've loved her for so long, and then just to be like pals with her is just the coolest thing ever.
Well, I'm a bigger act than her even.
Well, of course you're a bigger act than her.
Judy, let me ask you this. Is she Jewish?
I actually don't know if she's Jewish. Does she talk about it in her
I'm
act?
kidding.
I'm kidding.
Oh, good. You got me trying to get you. She's the Jewiest Jew in Judum. So I love her.
Yeah, so that was super cool.
We had so much fun. She's so dirty.
She's a filth bomb. Yeah.
And
you two going at like
my
teasing
God.
each other was just like literally. I was like, well, there's the show I want to see.
We
You
were-
two just railing on each other.
we were upstairs. I was upstairs on stage, and she was going to be next. And I came down. I go, Judy, first of all, you could hear your cunt from upstairs. Can you lower the volume on it? She goes, oh, are you serious? I'm sorry. You know, of course, goofing around. We had Judy and Adam Hills, Robert Kelly, and Alonzo Bowden, and some other guy I didn't know.
So great.
So it was so much fun, yeah.
Yeah. Alonzo Bowden, I think, is becoming one of my favorite comics of all time. Every time I see him, I'm like, I love him.
You know what's amazing about him, and I know you're a big sports fan like I am, he can do sports material to people who don't give a fuck about sports.
Yes.
Because the jokes are so good.
Yeah.
But he did a joke about the '89 Clippers, And they got it because the gist of the joke was, I could say I'm on the '89 Clippers because nobody knew who any of them were, right? And like people
awesome.
get that even though
Yeah.
they don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know. I couldn't name you an '89 Clipper.
I
Maybe
couldn't
Danny
either.
Manning. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it was even further. I mean,
further back than Danny Manning.
yeah, I think Danny Manning was maybe, well, that would be.
I'm just guessing.
That's when I do, in my sports podcast, I have a fake fact checker, Carol, and she's drunk all the time. That's when I just go, Carol, and try to buy some time and look it up on my computer. Danny Manning, though,
Well, he's the one that led that.
loved him. Kansas.
But didn't he led the thing about, wasn't it Danny Manning about trying to get pay for college kids? Pretty sure-
Recently?
yeah, I'm pretty sure that was him.
Maybe.
Please call in if the phone
Call
lines
in
are
immediately.
open. Phone
The
line-
landlines are open.
What do you got coming up? I just want to plug some of your dates before we go on.
Here's what I've got coming up. 6 weeks in LA. I'm doing a writing gig on my friend's sitcom. I'm going to punch it up.
What's the sitcom?
One Big Happy. Hopefully it'll be out this spring.
Oh, good luck.
So I'm in town, but the next it's basically it's like Erin Foley. It's got all my like tour dates, but I'm in like Jacksonville and then Portland and Seattle in December, and then of course it starts all over again. Can I ask you a creative question?
Yes, darling.
What do you do when you go through like points like throughout the year where you're like, I cannot deliver one more joke? Do you ever just get like I'm in a real like I just was on the road for so long and I'm like, I'm so fried. Like, how do you recharge?
No, it's I never have I don't have a problem with the performance as much as I have with the writing.
Yeah.
You know who Michael Patrick King is?
Sure.
All right, Michael and I were in an improv group together for years, and he's a terrific writer, and he writes.
He's fantastic,
He wrote
yeah.
for Candice Bergen's show, and then he has Sex and the City and
yeah.
Two Broke Girls.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just left him a note last night. I go, Michael, I can't write. It doesn't get any easier. It gets harder.
Yeah.
Just to I said something kidding with him, but my problem is the writing. I mean,
Yeah.
improvising is my strength, but the writing is fucking hard.
Yeah.
It does not get easier. And part of the reason, think about it logically, as we go on, as time moves on, it's like write a song about love. How many people have written songs about love?
Yeah.
Like as we go on, more and more thoughts have been processed, more and more thoughts have been expounded on. So it gets harder in a way. Like today's comedians, motherfucker, you sexy motherfucker, shaking that ass, shaking that ass. But that's what the hard part for me is, the burnout of not creating enough. What kills me? When somebody goes, I think, boy, am I fucking stuck here. And then after the show, they go, that was amazing. You did all new stuff. And I'm going, what the fuck new did you see? Maybe you forgot my act. I don't remember doing anything new.
Yeah.
But yeah, I understand the burnout. And I try and, it's very hard for me because I really love doing it.
Yeah.
But you definitely, it's like, do you ever hear about a boxer overtraining?
Yeah.
Like a boxer can get like in too good a shape where he's just too sharp and he kind of.
It's like rote.
He's ready too far away from the actual fight.
I get you.
He didn't peak at the right time, and I feel like that sometimes in getting ready for big gigs, because right now I feel like in golf they have the majors.
Sure.
I'm done my majors for this year.
Yeah.
As far as like really big gigs, although I have some coming up. Governors in Long Island, Bananas in Hasbrook Heights, Brokerage, and Toronto tour. I have some really big gigs, really fun, but the pressure is not as big because the rooms aren't as big.
Yeah. Which are just, I like smaller rooms.
Well, yeah, I like them too, but the problem is
Money.
Logically they can't pay you as much.
Yeah.
It's like. It kills me when somebody goes, fuck, they don't pay. I go, well, they have 100 seats.
Yeah.
The other club down the street has 400.
Yeah.
Do you see the difference in economics there?
Yeah.
It's so funny because people don't get it sometimes, like it's a business. That it's a business, and as much as we want to be artists, like Tommy got fired from the Comedy Store.
Really?
Yeah. And he was booking the Comedy Store. And now a lot of these guys that get booked by him, fuck Tom, fuck him. Now, and I'm thinking, that doesn't mean you're going to get booked.
Exactly.
The same guys, the guys that draw there are the same ones that are going to get booked there because they have to make money. They have to pay their electric bills.
Yeah. And there's like 8 rooms. Every time I go back to the Comedy Store, I'm like, They cut this in half and stick another room
It's like a
down in that
dream.
room?
It's like a dream.
It's like if the Laugh Factory starts doing just balcony shows. You're like, oh wait, is there a show going on there at the same time? I love the whole process. I mean, I think you have to to do stand up, you have to be obsessed with the process. And like, I love, you just have like one new joke and you get super energized. I do think, you reach a level where you're like, okay, now you're headlining and now it's like this real like factor of like, oh God, I've got to like stick new stuff within the headlining set, but then you feel like this huge responsibility for, they're there to see you or whatever for like, you're responsible for the show. And so then I get quite nervous about like, oh God, I don't want to stick too many new things in. And then a couple months go by and you're like, wait, I don't have any like new stuff. And then that sort of weighs on you. It's you know what it is? I don't talk to, I think it helps me to talk to more comics about like the process. Like it's so isolating. Like everyone goes to work with their jobs and they bitch and complain to all these people in their cubicles and you feel better. But I always have to remember like I should, talk to comics more about this.
Yeah, and it does help. I mean, for me, like I remember Seinfeld once told me, because I always respected his writing so much, and we were flying back from Newark on People's Express. We bumped up for $50 to get in first class. Now he's a billionaire. Right? And I said, we were talking about writing. He says, what I do, who are these people? What I do is I take 25 minutes a day. I sit there with a piece of paper and pencil, and that's it. If something comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I do at least 25 minutes a day of sitting there, which is, good discipline.
Totally good discipline.
And who can't do 25 minutes? That's just like TM.
Yeah.
Like transcendental meditation. I mean, 25, you should be able to put that in.
Yeah. I had a really good moment. You have these like moments as you're going along the way of stand up where I'm really good friends with Tom Papa. He's like a...
Fucking hate Tom Papa.
He's
Son
like
of
a
bitch.
brother.
Oh, that's cool. He was here Saturday.
Oh yeah. We kind of, I wound up meeting his to-be future wife. We waited tables, Cynthia and I got to know Tom through Cynthia.
We tried to get him for today's show.
Oh, yeah?
But we couldn't get him, so we called you.
Oh, great. Yeah, he
No, I'm
called me. He's
kidding.
like, can you fill in? No, I'm kidding.
He's good.
But yeah, we always touch base, and he's like sort of like a little mentor, and he said, he opened for Seinfeld for years,
Yeah,
and he said that
he's a great
still,
comic, Tom.
they still keep in touch, and he said, he's like, this is like a moment that he kind of passed down to me, and he was like, Seinfeld was doing, they don't work together as much anymore, but Seinfeld called Tom. He was doing some gig in Canada, and he called Tom like 15 minutes before the show, and he's like, "Oh man, like this joke's not working," and it's Jerry Seinfeld.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's like it really humanized him, and also this process of it's the same process for everyone, and you're gonna be nervous before you go on. You're gonna be thinking about your act, and it just makes you feel like, not
That's
like
what
a
makes it
crazy person.
exciting, I think. Because look at Eli Manning right now. His footwork they were talking about is off.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, you would think that he would have that down.
No, but they're changing it because the new offense. So the new offensive coordinator is changing his footwork.
Which is not good to fuck with somebody's dynamics.
Footwork.
But what I'm saying is there's a guy who's won two Super Bowls.
Two Super
right?
Bowls.
And, he'd be great in college, and you figure at least the top of the bottom of the top.
Yeah.
He may not be his brother
I'm
or
so
Brady.
sick of this argument, is Eli Manning elite? I'm like, just talk about something else. It's like, no one has anything positive.
Elite, yeah.
The whole elite argument, I'm just like, it must be a slow news day, because if I have to hear an argument that how Eli Manning is not elite, or someone's like, maybe he's elite, I'm like, give him a break. Give him a break. No one gives a...
I don't think if he ever did anything again, he still would have had a successful career.
Yeah, I mean, everyone would talk about him so more fondly if it wasn't for Peyton.
But also his body language is like a big baby. And
People don't like his body language.
Well, I don't like it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care, but I don't like. I mean, he like
I get it. Like I get it, and I've been a Eli. Like obviously, I'm a crazy New York Giants fan. Not obviously, I'm a crazy New York Giants fan. But I have been
I didn't know
defending
that.
Eli since like second year at Ole Miss. Like I've just had this obsession with the Manning brothers. I don't know why. Whatever.
You see how I have the journalistic capability to pull out things? I don't even know what I'm doing. It's a gift.
People, we've already discussed about my obsession with the New York Giants.
Tom Irrera, live from the Laugh Factory. Just to let you know.
You come back, you've got like a turban on with like an eye. You're like, I see that maybe you're a Manning.
Well,
but I get it. His body language. Like the thing is, I've done like I've read so many ridiculous articles because I have a sports problem on the Manning brothers, and like here's a total story that like.
How'd you like to be the Manning brother who didn't play football? You know what he reminds me of?
Yeah.
Pete Best.
Who's Pete Best?
Pete Best, the guy who got fired from the Beatles.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Well, Cooper did play ball and he hurt his neck.
I know, but I mean, he sits there and his brother's with him, and his neck he turns. He goes, "Thank you." That was a good play, wasn't it? You know, but.
Oh, look at my brother.
My father played too. I got a bad neck. God is fair.
Could I get some more tuna fish just on a plate, plain, just plain?
Like a cat. I'll eat it out of the can.
Could someone refill my bottle of water and bring it up to my mouth?
Thank you.
He's oh my God, we just made him paraplegic. Anyway,
Like Cooper Manning and Pete Best. You got any other people?
They're on a tour.
There was one guy. I don't remember his name though. I had a radio show up here in the balcony, and he came in and he was. Hey. Excuse me, girls. We're doing a podcast here. Can you stop talking about bleach?
I'll take the bleach. My apartment's filthy.
Can you have a little respect for the town? You didn't see. Well, when you see like lights on the stage and two people sitting there with mics. Who are you? Oh, Mika. Come on up. We'll get you in the podcast. Come on up.
Oh, no, I can't.
No, I want to see you.
I'm camera shy.
Put on a bathing suit.
All right, Mika, run.
Hey, are you coming to Chicago when I do Chicago? Mika? She's gone.
Does she do comedy?
No, she's engaged to Jamie.
Oh.
When are you going to get fucking married? I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. I want you to have a child. Little Dominic. Dominic Masada. Yeah, I'm going to the Chicago Laugh Factory. You work that at all?
No, I haven't.
It's good. Nice club.
Yeah.
First week of October. I don't know when this will be out, though. Probably in about 4 weeks.
4 weeks.
3.
I wouldn't have agreed to it. Kidding.
There's no going back now. We got you, babe. Well, you know what's good about this? First of all, if you hated the whole thing, we wouldn't air it. Secondly, anything you wanted to edit out, like that stuff that you did about Black Cock, you know, if you wanted to edit that out, we could edit it out.
There's nothing about Black Cock. Oh, boy.
That's funny, isn't it? Like how we're attracted to certain things because of our whatever makeup makes our sexuality.
Yeah.
And like that, something like that could be repulsive to you, and yet so beautiful to so many people. You know what I mean?
I think it would have to be a real special circumstances.
A lot of.
I actually just had this conversation with a friend of mine about.
By the way, you're better this podcast.
Okay,
than you were
good. Good.
You're much more relaxed. You're much
Good.
more poised. Funnier.
Probably because I know you better. I did have a conversation. Friends of mine, lesbo friends of mine, in New York. They got pregnant immediately, and they're constantly trying to get me to have a baby. And they're like, "We have sperm in our freezer." And every time I'm in Brooklyn, they're like, "Sperm's in the freezer," and I'm like, "Nope, not going to do it. Maybe at some other point." But we had this ridiculous, after several beers, conversations. As a gay lady, I should preface, I'm a gay lady. I think just knowing the middle brother of the Mannings, pretty much everyone's like, she's probably gay. Would you have sex with a dude to get pregnant? And the only way I would is if I knew I would get pregnant immediately.
Me too. It's the only way I would have sex with a dude.
This is just a random conversation I had.
So you would do it if you knew you were going to get pregnant. But how could you know?
Yeah. No, I'm saying it would never.
But it's much easier for you. Like, imagine a gay guy just not being able to get hard with a woman.
Yeah.
Like, you could lubricate yourself to the point where it's just like sticking a dildo in you. Do you know what I mean? Are you hungry? Is anybody else hungry? No, but I'm saying, do you know what I mean? It's easier for a woman.
Oh, the whole process seems horrifying. Thank God there's other options.
I think there's a song there.
Wait, is
I
this
think
a
there's
song about love?
a Broadway musical.
It's just, it's the dildo song from that new lesbian musical. I've got sperm in my freezer by Neil Simon.
I've got sperm in my freezer. He doesn't. He must. He's got jizz in his box.
And then a lot of jazz hands and backup dancers.
He doesn't.
Sperm.
Not
I
all
don't
of
know
it is
why.
white. Some of it is clear. I'm confused. Is it white? Is it clear? It's clearly white.
Oh my God.
I
don't know why that wouldn't be successful. Sounds like we got a good backstory.
Closed on the first night of rehearsal. Remember that from the producers?
Before the producers.
Remember the producers?
Oh, that's the funniest thing ever.
That's what they said. His last play that he directed, Roger Dupree, it closed on the first night of rehearsal. That's so funny.
Wait, did you hear Mel Brooks finally got the hand on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and he put like an artificial, like a joke, another finger. So when he put it down, everyone thinks that, like, if they don't know you would have 6 fingers. That's the greatest thing I've ever heard in my life.
So fucking funny.
Like, nothing gets by Mel Brooks. Like, he's done it all.
Oh, he said something. It was this Cinematech Award. I forget.
Yeah.
Whoever wins the award, the person who won it the year before gives it to him. So Martin Scorsese presented it to him.
Okay.
So what he did was he presented it to who was ever there next year.
Oh, okay.
But they weren't there. But he did like the whole thing of, I just want to say that this woman is brilliant, and and this man is brilliant. He gave the whole introduction, and they some of the films. How can we ever forget them? And he said the reason I did that is so I don't have to come back next year and really do it. So now you got it. Now you got it on film.
So it's just like this general introduction.
Yeah. This true artist,
Oh my God, I love him. His movies are stuff, when you're just like flipping around and you just like want to check out for a couple hours, like it's always like super fun when you I was flipping around the other night and it was Spaceballs was on. I was like, done.
Oh.
God, I love Spaceballs.
I love everything he does. I mean, I'd love more. The Producers is my favorite, but
Yeah.
Young Frankenstein. I always had like a goal to meet the people in Young Frankenstein, and Peter Boyle and I became friends.
Oh.
I was working at the River Cafe as a valet, and I'm from the same neighborhood as Peter. Of course, he didn't know me, and I said, instead of saying, "Hi, are you Peter Boyle?" I says, "Aren't you from St. Francis de Sales?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "Yeah, you lived at 50th and Hazel, right? Your father was Uncle Pete?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Who are you?" I said, "I went to West Catholic. I was,
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
Oh
we
my
became
God.
friends, yeah."
That's
and I was
awesome.
thinking, I used to think he's friends with me and John Lennon. There's a spectrum of
2
different.
degrees away.
Yeah.
He's amazing. Who else was it? Madeline Kahn?
Madeline Kahn, I never met. I met Mel Brooks very briefly, but Terry Garr, very interesting. We were talking about the movie. I flew to New York with her to do Letterman, and she was really nice and really cool. Excuse me. And she was saying that I said, "Did you improvise? Did you improvise at all?" And she goes, "Oh yeah, a lot."
Oh, wow.
And there was one point where the creature doesn't come alive, and Gene Wilder starts beating on his chest. You remember that?
Yeah.
He was handle this with grace and quiet dignity. "You mother grabbing! Why did you do this to me?" Remember?
Yes.
And then Terry goes, "Stop it, doctor! You'll kill him. He's already dead. He's a monster. They're trying to bring him back to life. Stop it, doctor."
I need
Cloris
to buy.
Leachman I met.
Oh, timeless classic. I mean, those act like that's
Yeah.
just like you could just watch their performances again and again. I need to get like a Mel Brooks like box set. I need to like travel.
I'd like to have that and a Woody
Yeah.
Allen one.
Woody Allen. I have Woody Allen. See,
Love and Death is the one I want to see.
Love and Death. I randomly found my parents were huge fans
You
of
have
comedy.
it?
What?
Do you have it?
Love and Death? Yeah, well, it's at my parents' house.
Oh.
But Love and Death, my mom was obsessed with Woody Allen, both of them, but she really was like the Woody Allen, like, just love. And then Dad was like Abbott and Costello. So I sort of grew up watching all of that. And then as an adult, like, Mom and I would just rewatch and watch over and over and over Woody Allen films. And Love and Death, I just kind of stumbled upon. I didn't know it in a
it.
video store like 15
Diane
years
Keaton
ago.
was absolutely brilliant in it.
So good.
Napoleon says to her,
I mean, those lines.
Napoleon says to her, how do you find me as a man? She goes, I think it's your best bet. You have such beautiful skin, yes, and it covers my entire body. I love that. You know, what I love
so
to the
good.
asides when they were going to war
Yeah.
with Napoleon, and they were volunteering.
Yeah.
And the two brothers, I will go and I'll fight for Mother Russia. And Woody Allen goes, I'd like to go, but I get a yellow streak down my back. It's not vertical, it's horizontal. And she goes, you will fight for you will die for Mother Russia. And he turns to the camera and goes, my mother, folks. Like my mother's turning me in.
It's that one I need to watch again and again. I haven't watched that in probably like 10 years.
I got to
just
tell you
so
the
great.
Cloris Leachman line. I was at the Improv one night, and she comes out. We were with the same agent, and she brought the agent came in. She wanted to see the show, and her son was with her. And she said, my son has a favorite line from your act, and it was something like just this thing about Joey Bag of Donuts, Jimmy the Woman, these like Italian guys.
Yeah.
And she said, will you do that? I said, if you'll do my favorite line of yours from Young Frankenstein. And she knew exactly what it was. She goes, okay. All right. He was my boyfriend. Remember that?
Yes, I do.
Ovaltine? No, thank you. Would you like some warm milk, perhaps?
Oh, that's so great that you got
Isn't that
to
cool?
have that moment with Cloris Leachman.
I know. I was
That's
thinking
awesome.
of how you can make something so much funnier with just like a subtle little thing.
Ugh.
Like in High Anxiety, when Mel Brooks was singing and he went, Anxiety,
Yeah.
just Anxiety. And then
Anxiety.
he put the mic, the wire over his shoulder, like he was real sexy, like he was Sinatra, just throwing a trench coat over his shoulder.
Oh, it's so good. And then what was the movie with the? Now I'm totally blanking. It was Mel Brooks, right? With the I've got 15, and then he trips and he's like 10 commandments.
Oh, yeah.
That was like
The history of the world.
history of the world. We used to say that line in our house growing up all the time. My dad used to constantly repeat that because it was such a kind of old school Irish Catholic. It was so Catholic growing up. My dad, every time we'd left church, he's like, I've got 15, 10 commandments. We used to say that over and over.
How did he handle the gay thing?
Oh, he was fine. I didn't even he was, at the time where I was coming out, he was like in the Merchant Marines. So he was just away. So I didn't even have like a one-on-one conversation. It was my mother that was a little tricky. She's completely fine. I just knew it was going to be one horribly awkward conversation.
Yeah.
And then we would never talk about it again and it would be fine. And that's literally exactly what happened. But she asked me she had some doozies. First of all, I think you should be able to like come out in your own time. But then there's Mary Foley time. And she was like, I think just needing me to talk
Wanting
about
to
it.
know.
So she started this whole thing and she started talking about like my life in New York City. And she's like, well, a lot of your entertainer friends are gay, right? Like I'm doing like vaudeville shows.
Right.
And I was like, entertainer friends?
Jimmy the Geek, he's gay, isn't he?
It's like, entertainer friends? Whatever. So then I was just like, I was like, no, whatever. And then, she asked me again and I was like, yes. And then she asked me about kids. I was like, I'm 24. I was like, this is all stuff that can be figured out after. And then she was like, well, I'm devastated. And I was like, that was a shitty choice of words. But I was like, yep, I knew you would be. And then I was taking a train back to New York City. I was in Rhode Island. And she was like, well, I need you to return that video before we get to the so I'm like driving to Blockbuster, like, what just happened? What just happened? Then I pull back in the house and I'm like, now what is it gonna be like?
Yeah.
And I went in the front door of the house and she said, oh, Erin, I cut out this great article on Billy Crystal in my AARP magazine. It's all about like creativity and how he writes. I thought it would be really fun for you to read. And that was it.
Wow.
And that was it. And that was the last time we ever spoke about it. A couple months later, I was dating a woman. It was Thanksgiving. And I was like, can I bring her home? She was like, yeah, of course. And that was it. I'm not saying she's great with it, but she's really come a really long way. And now, like, we watch Kids Are All Right together, and she was like, well, it's a really important movie, and this is the new families. And I was like, oh my God, like, this is Mary Agnes Kathleen Waters Foley.
Well, her love for you superseded the whatever taboos and religious things. And
It's all about Catholicism. It's about navigating Catholicism in her eyes,
I have a couple of friends that, you always knew they were gay. And there was one guy you hoped he was gay because he
He's on fire?
Well, no, it's just that he was like, you hoped he was something.
Yeah.
And one of my friends tried to fake being straight for a while, and it just wasn't working. He was too flaming. And And the thing that made me feel bad for him was one time we were backstage, and he had performed, and then I went on and killed. I mean, I can tell you, I'm not a bragger, but I'm kidding. I went on, and after the thing, I said to his father, do you want a beer? And he said, I'd love a beer. And he said, it was so interesting how something like this can be so, like, painful.
Yeah.
He goes, you see, Dom gets me a beer. In other words, Dom's like a straight guy who's like a real man, gets beer. You never get me a beer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that, and I could see he just goes like this, like, yeah. And most of the time, it hasn't been traumatic. But like, I had one friend, he wanted to talk to me, right? And I said, what is it? He goes, I got to tell you something. And he said, I'm gay. I said, oh, cool. I said, good for you. He said, why do you say that? I said, because I was worried you were nothing. And that's so much sadder than being gay or straight.
Yeah.
Just like and
this like
an
sort of
amoeba,
asexuality.
asexual, and and he says, you're not upset with me? I go, no. He goes, I was afraid I'd lose you as a friend if I told you that. I said, well, that's kind of sad that you would think that of me.
Yeah.
But I guess you get paranoid. I don't know what it's like to have to do that. But that's funny that your mother just closed it.
Just closed it.
That's
I remember.
great.
I wasn't like, I was nervous to pull back in the driveway because, when you grow up, like, I'm sure it's like Italian. Well, the Italians are a lot more, I think, open. But when you grow up in like such a kind of non-talking, like, there's a lot of love in the house, right? And my sister, I have two sisters, and my parents, and we actually are a very super close family. But it's never like, hey, I love you, give me a hug. It's like this sort of unspoken super like sweetness.
Yeah.
But when you're not communicating, when you're not like super open about everything, those moments where you have to like sort of unveil yourself are so like traumatic, because it's not this ease of, conversation in the house. So I pulled back into the driveway, and I remember like almost shaking of like, not like she was going to say something horrible, just that like, oh my God, are we going to have to keep talking about this awkwardness? And then she just was like, all right, I know now, and I'm going to have to work it out like on my own.
Well, she probably knew anyway.
Oh, I slept with my softball glove when I got my first softball glove in the 6th grade. I slept with it in my bed.
I slept with my softball, my coach.
Yeah. I wish. I wish I had known a little bit earlier, but that's okay. But you know what I mean? I was like the gayest kid. I just, like back then it was like tomboy, and now you can be like, all right, you're gay.
Yeah, but you're not tomboyish now. I mean, you're not.
Well, I
know what you're not? You're not dykey.
Yeah. Well, I don't like, I'm not like, running around with a football helmet on. Although I feel internally like a wide receiver. I know I sort of look like a lady.
I feel like a scat back. Just running around. I'm going to bring white running backs back to the NFL.
That would be amazing. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? So I always feel like men that are super flamboyant and women that are, look like linebackers, like I have a hair in my mouth. They have it so much harder. You know what I mean? Because they get judged immediately. As soon
as they walk into a room, yeah.
Oh, and it's just like, oh, they're defined by that look. And it's just like a part of them. They just really feel like this is how I feel comfortable. And to not feel comfortable in your own skin is the worst thing on the planet. And making people feel uncomfortable about themselves, that to me is like evil in my eyes. Probably because I felt uncomfortable in my own skin for so long. Now, thankfully, I'm like, whatever.
Did you have to go through anything in college or high school or anything?
No, I was just like this super tomboy athlete, but
What'd you
know,
play?
I played everything. I played soccer, into basketball, into softball, volleyball. Oh, it was just, that was sort of my outlet. But I never felt like I was different. I just always felt like all these girls acted a certain way, and I never felt like, oh, the stereotypical stuff. Let's talk about our boyfriends and let's go shopping and get our nails done. And I never, it was inconceivable.
Yeah.
All I wanted to do was talk about sports. Like I related to guys.
So you're more gay for sports than you are for women.
Yeah. Well, it's probably a tie because my two favorite subjects are women and sports.
How about women in sports?
Well, there needs to be 8,000 more. It's ridiculous.
What do you mean?
Well, there's no women in sports. I mean, there's a handful.
No, I'm talking about the athletes.
Oh, well, that's like a dream sequence. To bang an Olympic athlete?
I wasn't saying bang. You had to go right there.
Well, if you're talking about an Erin Foley dream sequence, it would be to sleep with a super hot Olympic athlete.
Like that tall tennis girl. What's her name?
Maria Sharapova?
Yeah.
I wouldn't pass that up. She's super hot.
She's very beautiful.
She's stunning. Yeah. I mean,
I'd like to finger her.
I knew something like this was going to happen at some point.
I'm sorry.
No, it's funny to me.
Why didn't you laugh, though? You thought you were better. You thought you were better than me. I told you I'm having trouble writing. That's the best I could do.
I'd like to finger her.
I didn't want to say that. I had to say. I had nothing else.
You're having trouble writing, so your go-to is I'd like to finger Maria Sharapova. Am I right, guys?
Come on, give it up for.
Yeah, but I mean, that's always a dream, but that's probably every dude's dream too. But I'm obsessed with.
Who's the hottest chick you ever had?
Maria Sharapova.
No,
I'm
really.
kidding. Oh, I don't know. Probably. Well, I think my ex-girlfriend was the hottest woman I think I've ever seen.
Really?
It ended fine. It wasn't meant to be, but when I was with her, I was and still to this day, I'm just like tall blonde. I have a tall blonde problem.
It's not a problem.
Yeah,
a lot of people do.
It's a curse.
Believe it or not, you're not alone.
I know I'm not alone. I mean, it's
You know what?
like I'm not a pig, but if I do those moments where you do the double take of oh my God, California, it's just loaded.
I know.
Beautiful blondes.
I know, and I feel it for the girls who have to come out here who were the hottest chick in their grade school, high school, college, town. They come out here and they're like one of many.
Yeah.
Boy.
But not to be all whatever, but honestly, to sustain any type of relationship or anything past 1 or 2 nights, they have, it's they have to be smart. You have to be smart.
Well,
you have
yeah.
to have a sense of humor. You know what I mean? You can get past that. You can be hot and then it's so unattractive.
It could go both ways.
Quickly,
You met somebody and they didn't particularly appeal to you, and the more you knew them, the more charismatic they were and the more lovable, or the other way where you thought, I thought she looked so hot to me. Now she looks.
Yeah, then you're they open their mouth and you're oh,
Yeah.
That's the trouble I think with women.
I hate certain accents, but I don't want to say what they are because I go to these places.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I don't alienate
I was
anybody.
no, you can't.
But yours I like yours. That's
whatever country I'm going to is the best country. My favorite accent.
I do like the French accent.
Oh, it's stunning. If I had to
the lips.
learn, it's just everything about French. I often think, all right, I can stumble through Spanish enough, but I think if I went back and learned another language, it would be French because it's so pleasing.
Although Italian's beautiful, not because I'm Italian.
Beautiful.
They're phonetic, though.
Those Romance language they're quite beautiful.
Spanish and Italian are phonetic. French is really fucking hard because of they drop so many letters.
Yeah.
Can
you imagine learning English, though? That to me seems... the slang
alone. Have you ever
alone?
heard me speak? It's beautiful, man.
Asterisk, scroll down.
I know, and you put
With-
like words that mean this it's totally different, even though they're the same.
Yeah.
What's that called? Not synonyms, but they're the same word.
Wait.
Well, look at the word poor.
Yeah.
If you say poor,
Yeah.
you know, you're pouring a glass,
Yeah.
or is it a poor person?
Oh, it's
You know,
It's
homonyms,
inconceivable.
antonyms, synonyms.
Can you imagine telling someone that doesn't speak?
Why are you watching this now at this point?
Did you turn it off?
No.
Yeah. No, I can't even imagine. Yeah. Oh, no, that's what that. No, it also means this. It also actually means this. And
Yeah.
then if you just put that letter in there, that it means something. Like I'd just be like,
Cantonese, they do with tones. They
Yeah.
not only you have to have like a certain level. It's
Yeah.
almost like singing.
yeah,
Yeah.
forget it. I feel kind of tone deaf every time I start singing. Do you ever have too many beers and you're like, I can do
No.
karaoke, and then you get up there and you're like, oh no. I'm like I think tone deaf. I feel like dogs will approach the outside of the karaoke.
I can
bar.
sing a little. I'm Italian.
Well, you're Italian. Do you ever get roped into karaoke?
I don't like it.
Yeah.
I like singing with musicians. I mean, one of the perks of being in the business to me is hanging around with other artists, foreign
Yeah.
artists. But, you know, like I used to be on tour with Cher and,
What?
for years. Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna have to talk. I need to know about this. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
I was on tour with Cher from 1990 and then we did a summer together, and then for 4 more years I was with her at the Sands in Atlantic City and Mirage in Vegas.
So you would go out there and do your act and then share?
Yeah, and then
That's awesome.
Then when she was doing her farewell tour, Cyndi Lauper got hurt, so she called me to do the rest of the tour. And I did
I
some
saw
of
that
the,
tour. I saw Cyndi Lauper and Cher in the Garden in New York.
Okay, so
It
I
was
did
unreal.
I did the Garden with her. When did you see it?
Probably 2003, 2004. Whenever.
Well, then
A couple years before
I would have
moving to
done
LA.
I would have done the next one,
Okay.
the next round, because Cyndi, I think she got hurt in Texas, fell off the stage. And they called me right away. And the good thing about a comedian, there's no production. You know,
Yeah.
you just go and you got your shirt. And
But how was it? Like you're coming out into this arena of people, and they're in kind of music mode.
Yeah,
so
well,
that must be
it was
so
very,
difficult.
It was very easy because it was her. I wouldn't want to do it. I met
Yeah.
Springsteen one time at Conan, and he asked me about, you ever open for people? I said, well, I've done a couple. I said, but I would never fucking open for you. And he said, why? I said, because the lights would go down.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even pay attention. Even if you put me on the bill, the lights would go down. They'd start screaming. Curtain comes up, and they're fucking screaming. And then I'm standing there with a mic.
But how's that different from Cher?
Because I'm on the bill. She always billed me.
Okay.
They knew they were going to see me.
Okay.
She is an eccentric star who has a multifaceted career.
Yeah.
So, you know, like
That's true.
She's not. I mean, I opened for Joan Jett and the Blackhearts at Asbury Park Convention Center. First time I ever opened for anybody.
Wow.
And it was fucking horrible. 2,000 people were laughing. And 2,000 people hated me. And I was only on for a couple minutes. The guy hands me $250. He goes, "Stay on as long as you can." I go, "What the hell kind of endorsement is that?" So I go on, and I'm like, somebody just tossed this Dixie cup top over. You know, couldn't possibly hurt me. And as soon as I saw anything thrown in any way,
Yeah.
I was out of there.
Yeah.
And he goes, "You did great." I said, "I did great. I did about a minute and a half." He goes, "That's much longer than most people do." I said, "What do they do? Run across the fucking stage?" You know, what? But
Throw, like-
with Cher was fun. I mean, I even got like
The crowds are like also. I mean, maybe I'm
Don't forget-
stereotyping, but a lot of like fun, fantastic gay men to see Cher, and gay men are like the world's best audience.
Oh, they were great.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, you see transvestites and grandmothers with their granddaughters next to each other singing and
so awesome.
watching. It was. She's out there again. Actually.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
that's that. What was like? What's your favorite? Like, what was your favorite? Like a couple, like 1 or 2 shows where was it with Cher?
Oh,
I mean, like
in my
overall. I
life?
don't mean like pinpointing, but like
in my life.
yeah, in your career.
Oh God. One of them was the Sydney Opera House.
Oh wow.
But my favorite. It's tough because of personal reasons. Like
Yeah.
when I did the Sands
Yeah.
in Atlantic City and headline there after I had opened for Cher and Whitney Houston. That was a big deal because I'm from Philly.
Yeah.
So that
Huge.
was, everything's different. I mean,
Yeah.
one time I got nervous. I didn't usually get nervous, but my sister, who, I lost my sister a couple years ago, but she was one of my dearest, probably my dearest friend, and she was nervous, and it made me nervous. She goes, "Oh, I can't believe you're going to do Madison Square Garden. Oh my God!" I go, "Gloria, please,
Yeah.
I got to go."
Yeah.
And I remember being on stage and not looking up because I didn't want to see the banners of the Rangers and the Knicks.
I literally have chills.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
And I remember having to wait because you have to wait for the laugh. We were talking about this. The laugh is like a wave coming in. It's not like, because sound is obviously slow, much slower than light.
Yeah.
It's light's immediate, and it's 186,000 miles per second, just to be specific. And sound.
Let's fact check that, please.
What's this drunken girl's name when
Carol!
you say Carol? Drunken whore. Anyway, the sound you have to wait for. That's the one thing you have to learn. You can't do joke because you'll be doing a joke on top of the joke. So you take a sip, you wait, you get the laugh. I mean, I don't do that at comedy clubs. In comedy clubs, I try and plow through and have fun, and that's that energy. But that was the biggest difference. And she was very nice, and we always had an occasional, like in the arenas, I would do 25, and then there'd be a break. But in the casinos, they fucking want you out there on the tables. There was no break. So we would see each other every night, and every night we'd say something different to each other. And one night I did a thing about shooting a load of jizz over a hedge, right? And hitting a dog, and this lady next to her cum all over her face, and this whole thing. And she goes, "Did you just do a jizz over the hedge joke? My grandparents are here." I said, "Your grandfather's here?" And now he gets a chance to see your ass, because I said, "Your ass is out." And she starts laughing and goes on stage. And anyway, later on that night, we're doing a party. She's having a party in her suite downstairs. And her grandmother says to me, "I love that joke about the hedge."
Oh.
And she heard it.
No.
And I go, "Huh?" Like, who would have ever thought that would come back?
I can't believe you had a jizz moment with Cher and her grandmother.
Yeah, I know.
That's dream sequence stuff. Cher is, that was one of my favorite concerts I've ever been to. Actually, Bruce Springsteen at the Garden.
I never thought our lives would
Walker.
intersect. I never thought our lives would intersect in any way,
Yeah, I mean, it's Cher.
You wouldn't relate me to her.
I wouldn't be like, who's a good opener for Cher?
Yeah, no. You know what happened was... Well,
but honestly, any comic, it just doesn't... it's like you always have those rules of comedy. It's like, don't do comedy with music. Don't do it outside. You know what I mean? So music and comedy, I'm always I can see, right? I can see. Now that you explained it,
I thought I was going to die. I mean, when I first went on to a place called the Starplex or Triplex in Dallas, and it was an amphitheater, and never do comedy then you could see the sky.
No, outside, forget it.
So I had a tough time, and I thought, I don't know if this is going to work. The next night I did the Summit in Houston, where the Rockets used to play.
Yeah.
And that went great. And I thought, fuck, I can do it.
So you're just looking out into an arena.
It's so weird to see because when I see these arenas like hockey, and I played a lot of them.
Yeah.
The ones that are still left from the 90s and 2000s.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. I think that's one of my favorite things, not to jump back into sports, but when you tour, that's so much fun going to see, if it's a concert, to see the arena, or every time I go anywhere, I try to check out a game.
Yeah.
I just was in Cleveland. I went to the Jake for the first time. That was awesome. Beautiful ballpark.
Yeah.
That's so much fun.
I did the what was it called? Not Kemp. That was Kansas City. I did whatever their arena was in Cleveland. Richfield Coliseum. That's what it was.
Oh wow.
It was outside. And I did one also in right next door to the baseball stadium, because the football stadium used to be down by the water.
It's still by the water, but maybe it's new.
Oh, it used to be Municipal Stadium.
Yeah, that looked beautiful. Yeah, then and they've got it's probably you did the basketball one. That was Conseco, but it's probably something else now.
Right. They keep changing them to some bank's name.
I refuse. It's Progressive Field. I refuse to call it it's called the Jake. I refuse to call it. I hate that when corporate America takes over all these ballparks, and it's like the charm just goes out of
I
it.
know. I remember doing a show for Comedy Central, and we had to call Candlestick something else.
Can you imagine?
Some bank
Yeah.
thing, and I'd say the name, I go, Candlestick.
Candlestick.
Where are Candlestick? Who we kidding? Willie Mays played here.
I mean, now it's in San Jose. Isn't that crazy?
What's in San Jose?
The new 49ers stadium.
Is it really?
Yeah. They moved it to San Jose. You have to take a train to a bus to a
What a
steam
fucking
engine.
drag.
I know.
Man,
I
it
wonder
was-
what they're going to do with all the Candlestick Park, which is now probably something else.
The
and whatever.
place where they play baseball is fucking perfect.
It
Beautiful.
is one of my favorite stadiums, hands down. You just have
What's
to
it
bring like
called?
a winter jacket. I think it's AT&T Park.
Oh, but what did it used to be called?
Well, it used to be called.
It had a name.
It
like
had a good name. No, maybe it's not AT&T. That doesn't sound right.
That's all right. I don't want to put pressure on you.
Wait, San Francisco Giants. What is it called? I should know this. I've been
Barry Bonds Steroid Stadium.
Barry Bonds. It's like McCovey Cove, and what was it called? Oh, this is gonna Pac Bell, right?
Yeah.
Now it's called Pac Bell, but it used to be called something before Pac Bell. I don't know, but yeah, that is Montreal. The first time I did Montreal, like early 2000s or maybe 2000, 2001. I did New Faces. I was way too.
Who was hosting it? Kevin Pollak?
You hosted one of my shows.
Did I really?
Years ago.
Was I nice to you?
So nice. Because Maureen Taryn was my manager and she loves you. That's why I thought you were Canadian for a while.
Maureen from Canada?
Yeah. And she's a New Yorker now, but I thought for so long you were from Montreal.
Oh, I don't blame you.
Because you were there
My
every
girlfriend
time.
was from there.
So maybe that's what it was.
Well, I was there. We had a house north of Montreal.
Maybe that's what it was. Because it was only recently in the last couple of years I was like, wait, you're from Philly? The whole time I thought you were Canadian.
You better believe I'm from Philly, baby.
Eagles. But we discussed this.
Eagles. Hey, it's funny.
You guys, you're gonna. The NFC East is yours to lose.
So Sunday, I'm home. Very first Eagles game. I get 2 calls at halftime. This is but before I talked to these 2 guys, I think the Eagles could do it. I really do. I think they could do it. I get the call.
17-0.
17-0. Fuck the Eagles. Fuck the Eagles and fuck Knowles. Knowles is his name, right?
Wait, who's Knowles? Chip Kelly?
No, the quarterback.
No, it's not Knowles, but it's
Foles?
Kevin Foles.
Foles.
Yeah.
Fuck Foles. And then they were cheering for Mark Sanchez. I thought, how fucking ironic. The guy who's been booed the most in the NFL for the last 5 years now is getting cheered.
Foles is going to be great. Well, the second half, I looked at that score and I was like, this is not happening. It's like, I'm not an Eagles fan. But I literally was like, oh. And then you saw them creeping back. I'm like, oh, yeah, they're going to be. Honestly, I don't see. Listen, if they play up to their potential, which who knows, they'll be right up there. They'll be right up there for Super Bowl, for NFC.
I don't know.
I don't know to win it, but wait, what am I talking about? It'll be like, it could potentially be Philly, Seattle to get
That'd
it.
be tough.
I do think that Philly is heads and tails above most
First
NFC
of all,
teams.
never bet on the Cowboys. I'll always lose
Ever.
on them.
Ever.
I'm still seduced by the star and the history of some of those great teams. They always fucking lose for me. So if you ever hear me betting on the Cowboys, put a lot of money on whoever they're playing. Because I'm fine.
I forgot. We talked about sports betting last time. And you do it every Sunday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Monday, Sunday, Monday, Thursday now.
When do you have to get your picks in by? Or your bets in by?
I don't know. A friend of mine does it. I just give him the money.
Is it picks or is it spreads or?
It's mostly spreads.
Yeah, spreads
or
are tough.
over and unders.
Yeah.
Like last night I had the Ravens with 2.5, which I really liked because they were given 2.5 so they could still win by a field goal.
Yeah.
3.5.
I would have taken that bet.
3.5's a bitch.
Because Steelers look like crap against the Browns on Sunday.
Yeah.
I would have taken the Ravens at home and the whole gross Ray Rice stuff. Like sometimes they play like above, when teams like are all crazy.
It's a funny question. What did you think of that Ray Rice thing? Like, what the fuck are you supposed? But what are you supposed to think?
Oh my God!
Wait a minute. She spit on him. He spit on her, and she went towards him, and he knocked her out. What do you think? I think. I mean, they're going to make such a great nuclear family
Thank God they got married. I think they've got a lot to go on. It's going to be a nice, happy
Well,
union.
you know what she's saying? You're hurting me by hurting him because there's no money coming in now.
Well, she didn't say there's no money coming in. She just said.
Well, she
I
implied
have
it.
to No, she implied I have to relive that night every time it gets brought
No, but
up.
she also said you're taking our income away.
Did she say you're taking
Yeah,
her
yeah.
income
Oh,
away?
yeah.
I literally, like, I don't even want to think about them as a couple. It's just, it's going to be really interesting. I'll leave it like, it's going to be really interesting to see if Goodell, if there's repercussions.
Well,
and the highest
they'll know that
commissioner.
by the time this is actually on.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
The thing that bothered me, it's interesting what pushes buttons in you. Of course, it bothered me that he punched her. You know, a professional athlete punching any of us would fucking knock us out.
Yeah.
But the way he treated her after he hit her was
Like
even
it was
worse.
like an everyday
she was a
occurrence.
deer.
Yeah.
Like she was a deer that
Yeah.
she fell off his car and he's got to
It
drag
was
her.
like a noise, like, oh, I have to deal with
Yeah,
this.
he was like kicking her and
It was, and you know what's so horrible is I'm not a Ravens fan, right? Not even remotely, but I liked Ray Rice for a couple different
Me too.
Rutgers, you know, like local kid.
Oh, that's right, he went to Rutgers.
Yeah, like one of the smallest guys in the NFL, always worked so hard, always ran like it was his last play. I really liked Ray Rice. And then I don't know why I'm constantly disappointed by these dudes. There's only a couple that you really look up towards.
He disappointed me too. No, I feel
That was a
exactly
real
the same.
disappointment.
Because OJ, not that I thought he'd be a murderer,
Yeah.
but which he was, by the way. I don't know if you know that.
Yes.
OJ was a phony.
Yeah.
And I thought he was a phony from Jump Street. Ray Rice, I thought was a sincere, good kid.
Yeah.
And you know what? Maybe he is partially that.
Yeah. Yeah.
know,
Maybe
but-
he is partially. It's just, we were also talking about this, like in this podcast I did a couple days ago, my sports one. It's like, even in I don't know what it's like to be, obviously, to have like this whole, surge of being, a warrior on Sunday and you've got crazy testosterone and you're jacked to the, like, I can't even imagine what that's like. I can't even imagine.
Well, let me tell you what it's like.
But being expected on that level of absolute physicality and violence and having to check it at the door
Yeah.
is too much to ask someone. Although I think everyone's maybe worst moments, I don't think you would ever have it in you to hit someone.
Yeah, but it happens a lot with
But it
football players,
happens
though.
a lot with football players. And I think it's, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised by any of this because
There are certain cultures that are much more violent than others. Like, you never hear of a Jewish guy beating his wife.
Yeah.
I never heard of it in my life.
No.
Did you?
Or Jewish, what is the whole Jewish athlete?
Well, there used to be a lot of Jewish athletes.
Yeah.
When they, before they had worked their way up the economic scale, 40s and 50s, they had like Jewish baseball players.
Yeah. Now you're like hard pressed. It's so weird.
Boxers. Yeah. Well,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, culturally, there's factors. Each sport is a different factor. It's just.
But you're right about the NFL.
But the NFL is
They are
just-
bred to be violent. And how do you turn that off?
How do you turn that off?
Well, and who knows how much they're jacked up on? Because, like the human growth hormones and
Yeah.
different things, they might make you mentally ill.
Also, I was just going to say, you've seen all now the repercussions of all the hits. And you know what also, when you start really looking about the hits, when you start like kind of watching every single play, and now with the last couple years with more scrutiny to helmet on helmet, it's just like, just a simple hit, just a simple clean hit. Your head is smacked down onto the field.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like every single play, you are getting a blow to the head. Whether you're trying, like, it doesn't have to be an
You know what they used
egregious
to call them?
15-yarder.
They used to call them having your bell rung.
Yeah.
And they called dingers. I believe dingers were when your spine, like you kind of went limp for a little bit. Because you were, you know.
I saw this old, and I don't know his name. It's like probably like Mean Joe Green era. I think it's probably like early 70s. It was an interview, and I don't know the player. I saw this interview maybe like when I was a kid, that this defensive lineman used to take a little piece of metal, tape it to his hand. So it's like tape, little piece of metal, tape around it. And he'd go around the O-line and smack the quarterback on the back of their head.
Wow.
To have, and he admitted it like on camera. It was 30 years later.
Who
but
was
I
the
was
guy?
like, It was like one of those. It was like a Mean Joe Green, but it wasn't a Mean Joe Green. I don't know.
Was he white or black?
He was a huge black dude.
Not Deacon Jones.
You know, I don't think I would come up with a name.
Oh, okay.
But like just a phenomenal ball player.
Right.
And I was like, holy crap, I cannot believe he's like admitting this. It was just like, he's like, oh, we did everything. You know, it's like,
Statute of limitations.
Yeah, I guess statute of limitations. But I was like, God knows. But every single play, there will be somewhat of a blow to the head. And,
oh, yeah, every play.
You know,
every play's like being in a car accident.
Yeah.
So,
and then you're supposed to go home. You're supposed to shut this. I'm not condoning anything, but what I'm saying is I'm not surprised.
Trying
by
to
any
understand something.
Yeah, yeah.
I was so disappointed in him.
I can't even imagine if I was a Ravens fan. You know what? If you're a Ravens fan, you got rice on your shirt.
Did you see all the women that were wearing his jacket?
Yeah.
A lot of women were in support of him, saying that he made a mistake, and
yeah.
But most of them were very overweight for some reason. I don't know what the what the connection was.
I mean, listen, I'm not going to judge those women, but as a woman, I feel
I judge everybody, and I'm judging you.
A little sickened by wearing that you could go to a stadium and wear.
Yeah, that's.
If Derek Jeter, who I've never probably felt as much love for an athlete in my life than Derek Jeter, if Derek Jeter tomorrow came up and he beat up I would burn everything.
It wouldn't happen.
And I would never, I would. It
wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen.
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So don't go in like you're a woman going like you can support your own and say that yeah it was a mistake, but it was so egregious and so disgusting. As a woman, I don't know how you could possibly put on a Ray Rice jersey.
You want to hear a Derek Jeter story that'll make you love me more?
Yes.
After 9/11, my brother-in-law's best friend was the pilot of the United flight. Goes in 9/11. Victor was his name. And he wasn't even supposed to be flying anymore. Came to see me in Atlantic City. He had a hernia, so he wanted to make sure he got one more flight in or whatever. It was his last flight.
Was his last flight?
It was supposed to be. It was his last, either that flight or that group of flights. You know how they were out. Anyway, so 9/11 happens. The building explodes, dies, obviously. He has two girls, and they were on the radio. They were talking about their dad. And Jeter heard, they were big Jeter fans. That was their favorite player. Jeter heard about it. This was in Philly. Sent a limo for them and their mom. Brought them up to Yankee Stadium. Got them jackets. Took them to dinner. The whole thing. How cool is that?
He's just.
I mean, you can't do it for everybody.
No, but of course,
beautiful.
It's like he's gone out of his way time and time again. It's just, it's like you can have that. You can have that's the other end of the spectrum, and it's. I feel like
why is he so special? Why is he a guy who has relatively not sensational stats all the time?
Yeah.
But when it comes down to that moment, he's genius.
He's genius. Also, a lot of people are like, oh, when I hear the word overrated, I'm like, you don't know the game of baseball, or you don't watch. I just happen to be a New Yorker. I happen to be a Yankee fan my whole life, and so I moved to New York City in '96. So I've seen his entire career. I mean, I watched him like when he came up a little bit. Couple games in '95, but I think it's what people don't realize is like you just take a game in May or June. The game doesn't quote unquote mean anything. It'll be the 8th inning. We'll be down by 1 or it's tied, and he will knock the run in.
Yep,
he will get on base.
Pete Rose was like that in a sense.
Yeah.
As much as I didn't like Pete Rose, like I like Jeter. All right, I have to ask you one sports question before we end. There is a right answer to this.
Okay.
What's more complicated, baseball or football?
Well, that's a loaded question. Well, I guess I would just say just schematically football.
You have to say no more. You're right. And that's
mentally, though.
What's the girl's name? I didn't ask you mentally.
Okay.
Don't start throwing stuff.
Sorry.
I asked you one question. You answered it correctly.
Okay.
Thank you for coming back to the show. Thank you for coming back after us fucking up the technology.
I'll talk to you anytime.
Good. We'll do it again sometime.
You're the
Erin
best.
Foley, go see her whenever she's at a club near you. I would.
Yes. They're relatively
And I'm not a
low
laugher.
ticket. Oh!
See you next week.